Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. It's a excuse me. It is a distinct pleasure for me to be here again and to share this remarkable morning with you. Since we're sharing narrative, and particularly narrative about British Columbia, there is a story that directly relates to Associated Medical Services that is related to a fellow named Bill Gibson, whose name may resonate with some of you who are knowledgeable with regard to UBC in British Columbia. And when Jason Hanna, who was chair of Associated Medical Services in the early 70s, was overseeing its conversion into a charitable group, there was a famous meeting that occurred at UBC here in Vancouver, in which Jason Hanna met with Bill Gibson and over a dinner decided that the future course of Associated Medical Services would be to support the humanities in undergraduate health professional education. So we in AMS have a very real link to Vancouver and to British Columbia and to Dr. Bill Seidelman, whose name is familiar to many of you. And in fact, as we talk about the linkages between Associated Medical Services and the college, was instrumental in forging some of those preliminary linkages. I would extend again referencing last year and this year, to Rob and his entire team, sincere congratulations for organizing yet again a remarkably successful morning, and as well, congratulations to the recipients of the awards. I'd suggest that it's very instructive to focus on the title of this morning's presentation in your guide, which is after the semicolon, Stories in Family Medicine. Story and storytelling, if you're a believer in evolutionary psychology, is arguably hardwired into who we are. And Rob was describing to me the very first session where there was a series of speakers sitting around a stage, arguably around a fireplace, telling a story. And there are those who would suggest that many thousands of years ago, people sat in caves around a fire and told stories to each other. This is so central to who we are. And storytelling in many ways strips away jargon. It strips away what has been described as verbal uniforms that we create. And in stripping that away, storytelling unites people around common emotions, common tropes. One often hears reference to the power of narrative, the power of storytelling. And I think central to that power is the fact that the story is a portal of entry. It's a window. It is a permission that allows emotions and feelings that characterize us as persons. And it also demonstrates our ability to be connected one to another around shared feelings and emotions that we arguably do not necessarily feel comfortable expressing. Now, when that window opens metaphorically, sometimes there is a gentle breeze, sometimes there's a tsunami. And I would reference a very interesting movie that is just released this weekend, and if we're speaking about narrative and storytellers, one has to study Clint Eastwood as probably one of the consummate storytellers of our time. And his new movie, Hereafter, describes a scene in which there is, in fact, a tsunami, coral formations and other things. But 10, 15 minutes later, that exposure, that vision, is followed by a 10, 15, 20-meter high wave of water. And there's a real metaphor there in terms of the power of story, in terms of offering us an opportunity to see things we don't normally see, and in that emotional turmoil that sometimes follows that exposure, that vision, we can respond reasonably or the emotions can be overwhelming. It's a very powerful metaphor. But there is more. For the story, the narrative, when approached in a systematic way, becomes a very powerful tool that facilitates the development of reflective capacity. And I think it is in that sense that the trite phrase, the hour has come for narrative, and for narrative as a catalyst in developing reflective professionalism to move mainstream. And I would add parenthetically, now that one is beginning to see narrative explored in all of our curricula to varying degrees, and focusing in that way on the concepts of reflection, of introspection, and the development of reflective professionalism. And I would suggest that the tropes we talk about in terms of patient-centeredness, person-centered health, whatever the right word is, the idea of developing insights, of becoming a reflective professional, inevitably leads to patient-centeredness, the ability to see through other eyes. And also, it is inherently the ability to see through other health professional eyes, and we've just defined interdisciplinary and interprofessional care. This is now happening, but I'd like to comment on the fact that the College of Family Practice, well over 5 years ago, probably goes back considerably longer than that, Cal, understood this, intuitively understood this, and launched the initiative to use narrative both as an underpinning and a basis for recording the history of the college through story, but as more so created this platform to spotlight narrative, to demonstrate to all the immense power of narrative, and to explore tropes that resonate with us all. And finally, to express gratitude and appreciation to the storytellers, and to again be permissive to the storytellers, and allow the story to take a central position. Now, we at AMS have been privileged, and I use that word in its full meaning, and delighted to support this initiative for a 5-year period. And we look forward to continuing our close relationship, both around the theme of narrative specifically, and more generally in context of a new multi-year initiative being launched by Associated Medical Services to look in a more comprehensive way at the role of patient-centeredness in undergraduate health professional education, and in so doing, using the skills around narrative as a vehicle to develop reflection. I would note that it's been at a personal level, I've had the pleasure of working collegially with many of the college presidents, and as well, it has been my privilege to work very closely with Cal Gutkin, Rob Waddell. I would have to signal that it is their vision, their passion, and their commitment that has been remarkable in developing what is nothing other than a stellar program. So on behalf of myself and the Board of Associated Medical Services and our Chair Duncan Sinclair, I can only signal how much we look forward to seeing this ongoing relationship to continue, to grow, and to flourish. So thank you very much, and congratulations to all.